apartment building, barefoot, soaked in moonlight, a cigarette dangling from his lips like a dare. It was July in San Francisco, one of those fogless nights where the city glowed like it was suspended in a dream. I watched him from my window for 10 whole minutes, the music too soft to make out, but the sadness in his shoulders said enough. I wasn't supposed to be watching, but something about him made it impossible not to. I had just moved in 2 weeks before, room 407, a floor below us after Dad died in March. I left Chicago behind with nothing but a carry-on and a voice in my head that kept saying, "Start over." I picked San Francisco because my mother always said it was the one city where the sky and the water kept secrets. I didn't expect to meet anyone. I didn't want to. But August didn't give me the choice. He showed up the next morning with a coffee. He guessed I'd like black, 1 sugar, no room, and a half smile like he already knew my middle name. "You've got the look of someone who used to sing," he said. "I haven't sung in years." Yeah, he nodded. That's what makes it interesting. He didn't ask to come in. He just leaned against my doorway and told me stories about the building, how it used to be a hotel for silent film actors, how the elevator still hiccuped if you pressed 2 buttons at once, how someone once left a piano on the roof and no one's dared move it since. We became a pattern: rooftop nights, cheap wine, shared playlists. We played questions like cards. What scares you more, being forgotten or never being seen? What would you say to your childhood self if she sat across from you now? Who broke you? He never answered his own. He drew people in charcoal the way I used to write songs, raw, urgent, unfinished, always women, always faceless. I asked him once why. "I don't remember their faces," he said. I didn't push. We kissed for the first time on a Tuesday, rain clinging to the edges of the fire escape, thunder somewhere far enough away to be romantic. He kissed like someone who knew what it meant to lose things. The next morning I woke up alone. It became a pattern too. He'd disappear for a day, sometimes 2, return with hands trembling and eyes red-rimmed. I asked him once, "Do you use?" and he flinched like I'd struck him. "No," he whispered. "Not anymore." I wanted to believe him. I tried. But one night I found him curled beside the rooftop piano, mumbling a name over and over. Tessa, Tessa, Tessa. His knuckles were split, fresh. I carried him downstairs myself. He didn't remember. Days passed. He was quieter after that, but softer too. He left notes on my door. "I dreamed about your laugh. You make the silence bearable. Do you think ghosts feel pain or just memory?" And I started singing again, just to myself, just in the shower, but still something was coming back. Then, one Thursday morning, I woke to sirens. Apartment 5 on August. I ran barefoot into the hallway, smoke glass, his name on my lips. He'd left the stove on, something caught fire. It wasn't serious, contained quickly, but they found him unconscious, pills in the bathroom. Not enough to kill, but enough to try. The hospital called me emergency contact. I sat beside him all night. When he woke, he didn't look at me, just stared at the ceiling. "I didn't mean to," he said. "Not exactly." Then what? I wanted to know if anyone would come. Tears blurred my vision. I held his hand. "Why didn't you tell me about her?" I asked. He didn't respond, but later, in the corner of a notebook I found in his coat, I saw it, a charcoal sketch, a woman with my mouth, my hair, holding a child. Beneath it, Tessa, if she'd lived. That was the twist. That was the secret. Tessa wasn't a lover. She was their daughter. She died. He didn't, and he couldn't forgive himself. We talked for hours that night about grief, about survival, about the impossible burden of still being here when someone else isn't. I told him about my dad, the silence in the house after he passed, how I sang once at his funeral, and never again. He looked at me like I was the only thing in the room that didn't hurt to see. "Sing for me," he said. So I did. The sound cracked, croaked, then opened. He cried. So did I. It's been 7 months now. He still draws faceless women, but sometimes he starts with the eyes, and I still sing in the shower. Sometimes I leave the door open, just enough for him to hear.